As Rutgers-Newark prepares to rename the soccer field after famous civil rights leader Frederick Douglass, it is important to think about what Douglass would have thought of race right now in America. I think he would be shocked that after almost 200 years after his birth, that America is still caught in the vice-like grip of racism. After the Confederates were defeated in 1865, I think Douglass assumed that black Americans would be granted social equality, just like white Americans. But then he soon realized that that battle was nowhere near won. And if he were alive today, he might conclude that it may never be, but it is still important to fight for it and believe that there is that possibility. I think another reason he would be likely worried about the possibility of social equality for everybody is that he believes power and privilege are never voluntarily relinquished, which means they must be taken away. In the case of Charlottesville, Douglass would point out that if many white people in many instances unconsciously continue to regard being white as some kind of notable achievement, then social equality for all is unlikely. As far as the controversy with Confederate monuments and whether they should be taken down or not, I believe Douglass would suggest that we should leave them, but with the provision that a tribute to a famous African American be made nearby, so as to dramatize the untold part of our history. I don't think Douglass would like the stigma that some white Americans believe they are not only more privileged than black Americans, but they are more discriminated against than blacks are. However, I think he would understand why they feel that way, even in the face of overwhelming counter-evidence. African Americans still serve longer sentences for the same crimes that whites do, and they are more likely to be executed for the same crimes than whites are. But Douglass would acknowledge that when assumptions that govern social views are challenged, many people will resist admitting they are wrong about agreeing with these assumptions, and he would also suggest that white people who do not feel privileged should make common cause with other Americans who also feel underprivileged. This is a better option than instead of enforcing boundary lines between groups, as we saw happen in Charlottesville. He knew that the divide and conquer strategy was crude, but had remained effective in the United States for centuries. So Douglass today, he would think it's possible to overcome racial and social disadvantages. This is a better option than instead of enforcing boundary lines between groups, as we saw happen in Charlottesville. He knew that the divide and conquer strategy was crude, but it had remained effective in the United States for centuries. So if Douglass were alive today, I think he would believe it's possible to overcome racial and social disadvantages. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. Beginning life under difficult circumstances, such as not knowing who your father is not necessarily fatal to chances of success, as Douglass proved in his own life, and as it did Barack Obama, the first African American president.